Welcome back, everybody. I hope that you, like me, and like Jim, and like countless others, are enjoying the warmer temperatures. It's nice to have a little thaw out after we've been sheltering inside and trying to find a place to put all the snow, which has taken forever to melt. So I'm glad that you're joining today. This last Sunday, I spoke a little bit about the psalm from which we read, but I focused on a section of that psalm that has the psalmist, the writer, the protagonist in this passage basically say, "Yes, God, save me from my enemies." Now that's normal. We're used to hearing that. That's not atypical. But follows that up with, "But if I have done anything to wrong people in my life, if I have betrayed my allies, if I have even been dishonest with my enemies, then may justice overtake me. May I be tracked down. May it prevail." And I put the question to us all. Are we ready to live with the consequences of our prayers and aspirations? If we pray for justice to come, are we ready to live with what that means for our lives? Especially those of us who, despite the problematic structures under which we live, have managed to do pretty well. Are we ready for all that justice entails and what it might ask of us? Can we, with the psalmist, say, "May justice prevail over me"? If I am complicit or resigned, or maybe even directly contributing to something that is problematic and is offensive to our very faith, then may justice prevail over me in that instance. I think that is a challenging question to ask ourselves and ponder. But I will also say that we are called to do just that. We are called to say that prayer. We are called to take it upon ourselves to declare justice, to live for justice, and to accept the consequences of justice. In part because as people of faith, we believe that that is the holy imperative writ large in the Bible and in the story of the church. That doesn't mean there aren't some awful spots and awful moments and awful periods of time, but it always comes back to crying out for justice. The problem, I would say, has been that when institutions and practices become enshrined such that they can't evaluate themselves or interrogate themselves, they can't be questioned, then we run the risk of perpetuating the very injustice that we're decrying and called to work against. So again, are we ready for justice to come, to flow down? Are we ready for the impact that it will have in our life? I hope we are, and I trust we are. Before I end today, I want to point out one example. It's a small example, but it's an important one, and it's one way perhaps for us to think about the justice we seek and pray for. I wore this shirt intentionally today. It says "included," a little differently than you would see it in the text. Has the E and a K. It is a Black-owned business that not only produces clothing, but other items, and it's focused on mental health, specifically for those who, for whatever reason, whatever kind of discrimination, have felt excluded from community, from life, from real belonging. So by supporting Included, which I want to give credit where it's due, Anne-Marie purchased this for me and supported Included and turned me on to Included, that is one way that we can say yes. We want to lift up, build equity, and build support for organizations, communities, businesses that are run by persons who have been systematically excluded. So in doing so, we are finding a way to create together a world that we want to live in, and that we want our children and their children and every human being to live in. We're obviously not there yet, but one step at a time is the only way we can get there. So I encourage you to think about what that step is for you this week, and to continue to say that prayer. May justice come, and may I have the strength to bear that justice when it does come. Have a great week, friends. I look forward to seeing you next week.